Hey, what's going on, guys? Greg Helbeck here. I'm really pumped. I got the second guest ever on the Greg Helbeck podcast, whatever we're going to call this. I got my good buddy and JV deal partner, Devon King here. So I'm really excited to bring him on. We're going to talk about, his intro, kind of how he got started, some of his best real estate investing advice, the best deal he's done, the worst deal he's ever done. And then it's kind of his overall philosophy on life. He's a pretty interesting dude. He's a young guy like me. He's 24, and he's achieved a lot. So I'm really excited. He's one of my best friends, and we have probably 7 or 8 deals going on right now. So we're doing a lot of properties together. So we'll also kind of talk on kind of partnerships and how they can be beneficial, what you should look out for, and just ways you can add value to each other by working on your strengths and stuff like that. So. Hope you guys get a ton of value from today's show. And without further ado, Devon, you want to give everyone kind of a little background on yourself?
What's going on, everyone? Pleasure to be on here, Greg. Me and Greg got started maybe like 3 years ago. Basically, we went to one of those infomercial, we got free tickets in the mail, we got upsold on $1,000 program, went there, turned out to be a great investment. I would recommend them just because they put your money where your mouth is, gets you going, and then we hit the ball rolling from there. We had a lot of ups and downs, a lot of roller coasters, but we are where we are today, and it's been good.
Absolutely, man. I'll never forget that. That was almost like 3.5 years ago. Time flies, yeah. And I remember this is funny. I remember we were kind of in that seminar room. And we didn't really know what to expect. And we were with one of our other friends, and he kind of thought
our other friend didn't want to do it, and I was very on the line also.
Yeah.
And Greg pushed me to make the jump, and it was $500 each, which was a lot of money back then. So yeah. I'm glad we did it. Yeah, I'm glad you pushed me on that one.
That was crazy. Sure. I remember I was like, I told you guys, I was like, I'm doing it regardless, and I was super broke, and I was
yeah.
Like, if you want to
say that, I don't know if I would have done it, to be honest.
Listen, man,
that was the razor's edge.
That was the razor's edge. Well, listen, I'm glad we both did that because I think it's paid off times a lot.
Definitely.
So cool, man. So and just real quick, where are you calling in from today? What's your market and where are you based out of?
I'm in New York, Orange County, New York. We're like an hour north of the city. So sitting here in my apartment, just chilling out. It's pretty cold outside, like 10 degrees, so bundling up, staying warm. But yeah, we're like an hour north of the city. It's pretty suburban, just regular cookie cutter neighborhood type of deal.
Fantastic. All right, well, great. To all the listeners, that's where I'm actually originally from. I do a lot of business there still. Great area, Hudson Valley, New York. A lot of different kind of markets and pockets there. You got some cities, you got some suburban towns. So it's a great area. So let's kind of pivot into kind of your strategy and your style of doing deals. Kind of tell the listeners, your experience level, and then your strategy for buying and selling property, because you have a pretty unique strategy when it comes to getting properties sold.
Yeah.
A lot more than
so that. Pretty much for the most part, I've been closing on deals. So I'll find a good deal, close on it, and then pretty much doing very minimal work. So not rehabbing it like everyone else does, pretty much just cleaning out all the junk, taking nice pictures, and then slapping it right back on the MLS. And we call that wholetailing, me and you or whatever. But that's pretty much been the strategy. And I think it's been so much better than a rehab or anything. It takes so much less time, so much less effort, and you can get your money a lot faster back, and you make pretty much just as much money if you run the numbers.
Absolutely. So really what you're saying here is that you don't have to necessarily go and renovate these properties and put all this fancy work into it and worry about retail buyers. If you get the deal right and you're in the right area, from what you're saying, you can just kind of go back and put it back on the market and make 90% of what you make.
Yeah, that most people think you got to you buy it, you fix it up, you put all this work into it, and you got to get contractors and all this stuff, but you really don't have to do that. Banks are selling them full price now. REOs are going for big money. So if you could just get them, just act like the bank, put them back up, and the banks take horrible pictures. So, and they still get them sold. So my biggest thing is taking good pictures, getting nice pictures and slapping it back on the MLS just like that. And if your pictures are good, you'll get people there, and then you'll get offers and you'll get it sold.
Absolutely. And I want to kind of commend Devon here because he's very, very good at selling properties. Sometimes properties that I don't think we could sell. Like an example is we'll get some marginal deals tied up on a wholesale basis. And Devon's really good at finding buyers. I mean, I don't know how he does it sometimes. We actually just bought and sold a property yesterday. We're recording this on January.
That one yesterday, I don't even know how I did that one. That was
a turkey, and we ended up selling it. So that was definitely pretty cool. So Devon, real quick too, besides your wholetailing strategy, are you doing any assigning as well? What are you doing in terms of, because that's like the hot thing now. Everyone wants to wholesale properties.
We do. I do assigning on if I get a smoking deal where I think the numbers are absolutely ridiculous. That's when I'm taking them down and buying them because the upside is there. But if it's sketchy, if it's not I like the cookie cutter houses. If it's an odd house with an odd layout, sometimes I'll just try to assign it just to minimize the risk. But I usually will either double close or assign at that point because in New York the seller has to agree to assign, which we've been running into a couple times. So yeah, sometimes we'll just do a double close just so the seller doesn't have to know what's going on, or because sometimes they'll get upset that you're assigning and you're not the one closing. So
yep, for sure. So if you guys are in markets where there's no attorneys or stuff like that, it can be a little easier sometimes. Devon and I do a lot of business in New York. It's where we're from. Certainly a great market, but you just have to kind of know what you're doing a little bit more up here. There's more attorneys and there's a little bit more red tape. So you just got to kind of know a little bit more about the ins and outs, but if you're hungry and persistent, you'll certainly figure it out. So Devon, it seems to me like your main thing you like doing is these wholetails, which is basically just buying it, cleaning it out, and listing it. So what do you think? I think we kind of covered this before, but if someone wants to get good at wholetailing, what are the one or two things that you think are critical in order for having the most success with this unique strategy, which is the combination of wholesaling and rehabbing?
You pretty much. The biggest thing, in my opinion, to being successful is you got to know what a deal is. So you got to look at a lot of houses. You got to understand what's a good deal, what's a good market, what the house is worth, what it could sell for. And you could be off a little bit, but you need to understand what the deal is worth. So if you know, because when you look at a house, you should be confident that that's a good deal. You don't even most of the time, I don't even have to go back and look at the deal, at the numbers. If I'm looking at the house and I know the sale price, I could just say, oh, that's a good deal or that's not a good deal. And you pretty much want to get to that point where you can just look at a house and be like, oh, that's a good deal, that's not a good deal. Because when you have that confidence, you have the ability to take it down and buy it without being scared that it's not a good deal or you're going to lose money. And that's the biggest thing, in my opinion, that you need to know. You need to know what a good deal is. And you can have a lot of people on your team. Like you can call realtors like I've been doing and get values from them. And because they've been in the game a lot longer than I have. So I can call them and say, hey, I got this property. I send them some pictures. They could tell me what it's worth. And then, a lot of the times we do deals with those realtors and they'll find us a buyer and, we'll give them a commission and everyone's happy. And they're able to get me the max that I could possibly get for my house because they know what it's worth. And a lot of the times I'll think it's worth way cheaper. I'll call realtors and I'll be blown away by how much they think it's worth and how much people are willing to pay for it. So,
absolutely, that's a great tip for everyone listening right now. I'm so super happy you shared that. A lot of investors, they kind of have this negative persona on realtors. They think they're evil. They think they're deal stealers or deal.
No, realtors are. That's one of the biggest things I've learned recently is that realtors are your friends. You want to make friends with them and call them all the time. And if you can call 5 realtors on every house, they could give you such a great value point. Like they can really let you know what it's worth because if someone sold a house next door, you could call them and say, hey, what was up with that house? What was the layout? What was this? What was that? What was the square footage? And they could tell you exactly what your house is worth and say, oh yeah, I had a guy that was interested in this house. Maybe he'll be interested in your house. And you could get stuff done quick with realtors. They're your friends.
Absolutely, 100%. Didn't we we wholesaled that property yesterday? We double closed, and it was via a realtor, and we had
It was with a realtor. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
we paid the realtor
Well,
$1,000 or something, and they turned us in, it was like a $13,000 profit for us.
yeah, exactly. You got to pay them, but most of the time they're getting you more money than you could get on your own. So it's like an accountant. They'll save you money in the end.
Absolutely, man. That's a big tip for everyone if you want to start taking down properties. So let's kind of pivot here. Before we get into kind of your best deal and worst deal, and I'm really excited to talk about that. I want to kind of hit on a little bit some stuff, because we've had some interesting stuff together where we've we've tried to be partners and it didn't work out, but it was never like anything messy or terrible. But
yeah.
Kind of talk a little bit about. I guess we're a little different. I think we're pretty similar with a lot of things, but we're also a little bit different. I think we're definitely wired a little bit differently, different personalities. So let's kind of give the listeners here, if you guys are, maybe you're in a partnership or you want to have a business partner, let's just try to give them some advice right now, because I think we're pretty qualified to do that at this point in terms of, experience and we've done it a few times, and we're actually kind of doing it a little bit now, but not on a serious, I guess not really seriously. We're just partnering on some marketing. So let me have you kind of give your best advice on having a partner, where the value could be, and just kind of your experience so far in general.
Well, first of all, I think everyone's just different in life. Everyone's got different values. They want to do different things, and they have different levels of motivation and all these different things. So if you want to be in a partnership with someone, you really have to understand what that person wants in their life and what's important to them. And, because for me, I'm more of a laid back guy. I'm very easy to work with. I like to travel. I like to have fun. And, for me, I'm not a 9-to-5 type of guy. I'm not working all the time. I pretty much do the things I have to do, and all the rest of the time I spend enjoying myself and pursuing other things. And, a lot of the times, work and stuff isn't my biggest priority, so that's a problem. If you don't address that up front, that'll cause a lot of problems, because, I know Greg is a rhino. He's hammering away. He's building a crazy empire. He's going to have a private jet, and, different things work for different people. So I think if you can understand that up front, you can form a way better partnership. Like me and Greg have tried to be 50-50 partners, but, I would travel across the country and go doing all this crazy stuff. And,
you went to Israel and came back with a
Yeah, I went to. I've had so many ups and downs and roller coasters that, but I feel like it's good. Every time I feel something, I go for it, and then if it doesn't work, I shift, and I'm able to. Every time I'm able to understand myself better. So when we went to a seminar one time, and I thought I was super motivated and I was ready to conquer the world, and then I went to Israel. I came back, I thought I was a hippie, and that was only a month later. So, but each time, like I said, it's these huge dips, but every time I've been able to understand myself better, and the dips become less and less steep. And I gain more clarity on my life and on myself. So I've been enjoying the process along the way, the whole thing. And so you just got to understand your partner, and then you could build a partnership from there, or just do deal by deal basis, like what we've been doing. You don't have to build like this 50-50 everything together partnership. You could just do deals and be buddies and have fun and each do your own thing.
Absolutely. I'm glad you kind of mentioned that, because that's something that people probably need to be more aware of, is like, if you're going to have a partner, you got to make sure that your values are dialed in. And if you guys don't have the same values, it's going to get bumpy. It's not going to get bumpy immediately, because it's almost like you get in a relationship. It's like the coolest thing ever for the first couple months. And then after, like,
that's a good analogy. Yeah.
After like 4 months, you're like, all right, like this is a little hairy, not literally, but anyway, that was anyhow. But basically, you have to understand, is the other person on the same page as you? Do they have the same core values? Are they trying to get to the same destination as where you want to get to? And there's no right answer, right? There's no, hey, you have to do this, you have to do that. You have to make sure, you address these things up front. And I'm a big advocate now, because I'm doing deals right now in a couple different markets. I'm a big advocate of joint ventures, case by case stuff.
Yeah, just JVs, doing stuff when you need to, and then because then you don't have people, you don't have people up your ass all the time. Yep. Did you do this? You're doing your own thing. You're getting stuff done at your own pace, and It's way better. And I think another piece of good advice would be like if the partnership doesn't work, then what? You have to have that already planned out beforehand. You have to have the exit already drawn out. So if this person gets lazy and this happens, then what? So you're not just left with, question marks, and you're not left with all this money on the table and all these crazy things. You already have that settled, so it would be a smooth separation.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Beginning with the end in mind. So guys, if you want to go out there and partner with people, it certainly, it can be beneficial and fruitful, but you got to make sure that you probably start with a JV perspective where you're doing case by case deals, seeing if it's a fit. And then, hey, down the line, if it makes more sense to go 50-50, great. Make sure you begin with the end in mind, have the exit planned before it happens, if it does happen. And just make sure the communication is key. I mean, Devon and I right now are spending some pretty good advertising dollars every month together. Because he's in New York, I'm in California, so we're doing more of a JV kind of thing right now, and it's working out well. But it's just a case by case thing. We're deal by deal. The marketing's all getting tracked on separate numbers. So like my stuff that's myself is my own leads, and his own leads are his own leads, and then the leads that we're doing together, we're just tracking them and we're sharing those. And he's bringing a lot of value, and I think I'll bring a lot of value to him. So guys, it's definitely a good opportunity, especially if one person. I'll give you one more tip, and then we'll move on here. Devon's really good at finding buyers and selling properties. I think I'm pretty good at getting properties negotiated and marketing and locking them up and getting, deeply discounted prices. So I think when you can combine those two things like we're doing, we're both bringing value to each other because I'm not that great at, selling properties and doing dispositions. And he's not as good, I think, as at finding deals and negotiating and marketing. So we're both bringing value. We're both kind of working on each other's strengths and then compensating for our weaknesses. And hey, it's a great way to make money because if it wasn't for Devon, I tied up a property a month ago. We sold it yesterday. It wouldn't have sold, and he probably wouldn't have found it. So it's a win-win on both ends.
Absolutely. I agree 100%.
Cool. So let's pivot into we'll start to get into the back half of the show here. So Devon, tell the listeners kind of your best ever deal you've done from start to finish. And let's get the down and dirty on it.
Best deal
ever done.
I think you know what it is, the one I bought from you.
Well, let me give everyone a little bit of context before we get into this. I'll let Devon, obviously tell the majority of this. So I got a smoking, sizzling hot lead. Oh, this was a couple months. This was in summer 2018. So this is like a couple weeks before I moved to San Diego. Yeah. So I moved to San Diego, California, and I got this really hot lead in the mail. It was a direct mail lead. It was an old lead. It was like a guy had my postcard for a while, and he called me, and this guy was so motivated I couldn't even believe it. Like if we had one of these guys calling a day, we would have a yacht by now. And so this guy, he calls and he says like, I need to sell this house. I have, his situation was something with a retirement account or something. He was a heck of a nice guy, but he was in a little bit of a quagmire and he needed to sell. So I really didn't know what was going on. I was kind of phased out of New York investments at the time. I was buying a lot of property down in Dallas, Fort Worth. So I was like, I guess maybe I'll look at this one. Long story short, I sent Devon to the house and I said, hey, let's partner on this thing. And he looked at the deal. He knew it was a smoking hot deal. And we got the guy to take a really good price. And we're really happy about that. He was like, that's fine. It works for me. Solve this problem. And Devon, let's have you pick the rest of it up. So what ended up happening?
So we ended up getting it at a really, really good deal.
What was the price? I forgot. Like
60,000. 60,000. And then I walked the house. I realized it was a good deal. And I said to Greg, what if I just buy it off of you? It will be easier. You could just assign it. And it would be, a clean deal. And there would be no problems. And he said he wanted 20,000 on top. And I said, all right, that works for me. So I gave Greg $20,000 check, gave the guy a $60,000 check, bought the house. And originally I only thought it was worth maybe 100 to 120 just because we got it so cheap. And it was like, I didn't realize it could sell for so much more. So originally I was going to put it up for that much money. And this is when I discovered the realtor strategy. I called up a realtor. I had two realtors walk through the property. And the first guy said he wanted to list it at $199. And I said, what the hell are you kidding me? I had no idea it was worth that much money.
Yeah.
So I ended up listing with that guy, and he found me a buyer within a day It was a lot. I sold it for 167. So it was a lot less than the listing price, but I didn't care at the time. I didn't care at all. That was plenty for me. So
Yeah.
I accepted the offer. It was all cash offer, and we closed from start to finish. I think the process took 2 months, and I didn't do anything to the house. Like I said, I took 2 pictures. I took nice pictures of it, and I didn't even clean out the junk inside. I just put it all in the closet.
Damn. So how much you ended up making on that? I know you remember we were in Chicago. You told me how much you sold it for. I almost put rat poison.
Yeah. That was like a $70,000 deal.
Woo! Can't go broke making a profit, man. Well, that was
that was a fire deal. That
was an absolute smoker, dude. That was like man, I remember you told me those numbers, and I'm like, you know what? At the end of the day, guys, here's a little tip for you guys. Don't count other people's money. I was in a position where I didn't really have the funds to buy this thing with my own money. I was buying more deals in Dallas that were cheaper. And for me, I was cool with a 20K wholesale fee, no risk. I was moving to San Diego the next week. So like for me to take a deal down and own it now, and it didn't make sense at the time. So I was very, very cool with the 20K wholesale fee. That's a great wholesale fee. And no risk. So guys, don't count other people's money. So if you're flipping deals to guys and you're seeing what they're making after you sell it to them and you're getting like buyer's remorse, don't get upset. Don't count their money. So everyone's got to eat on these deals. So don't get upset if you're a buyer and you see a wholesaler making a big fee. If the deal works for you, the deal works for you. And if you want to, get the property that cheap, then go ahead and market to that seller directly. So I've learned that lesson a lot. Don't count other people's money. Everyone's got to eat. And Devon, that was a fantastic deal. So that's your Wholetail strategy kind of in full effect. So let's kind of pivot now to your worst ever deal. Every investor I bring on the show, I always like to talk about their biggest turkey they've done so far. So I want to
deal that's closed or worst deal that just went down the toilet.
Worst deal that was just an absolute debacle. Lost money.
We've had it. Oh, I've had.
The one I'm thinking about. The one that I'm thinking about. So
I had
that one.
This was my third house I did, and I thought I knew what I was doing.
Yeah.
The house was very cheap. I bought it for $30,000. So I was doing this Wholetail strategy. I bought it for $30,000, and I didn't do any inspections on it or anything. I went in with a guy that I trusted, and I thought he knew what he was talking about, and I felt way more comfortable going in with him. And I thought he was going to take care of all the inspections and stuff like that, but he ended up just being as clueless as me. So we bought this house together. There ended up being water underneath the floor, under the wood floor. There was tons of water. The septic tank was messed up. There was like no certificate of occupancy. That house was a mess. And we put it online. The floors were like this. It was crazy. And no one wanted to buy it. It was a bad house. So then the guy that I bought it with ended up offering to buy me out of the deal because I was just so frustrated. I just wanted to get the hell out of the deal so I could move on to other houses and, start making money again. So I took like a $4,000 loss just to get out of the deal. And that was probably the best thing I ever did because the guy still has the house. He ended up having to sell it on payments. So he owner financed some guy that wasn't really qualified just because he had to do something with it. And he might have to end up foreclosing on the guy that he sold it to because the guy's not making payments. So that was a good deal to have in the books. That was a good one to put on the resume of learning.
Yeah. I remember that one. I remember the one that was at the Island area. That thing was a total turkey. I was telling you not to buy it too. I think it was coming from Craigslist, and I was like,
yeah, that was right when I got started too. So it was like, it was really stressing me out, even though it wasn't a lot of money, but at the time it was. So it was really eating away at me.
So what's your number one lesson from that? So obviously it was entertaining to hear that story, but if you had to kind of audit that deal and come up with your 2 or 3 lessons, what are the 2 or 3 lessons you learned from that deal?
The lessons, would be just understand that was a market I didn't really know. So that was like an hour away from me. I just assumed it was a good deal because it was near a good town, New Paltz. So I thought it was a good deal just because of I thought it was close to a nice town, but I didn't know the market. So just understanding the market, I think, in my opinion, is the best because I mean, the condition is one thing, but it doesn't really matter what the condition is. The price is really, there's a buyer for every house, regardless of the condition. So it wouldn't have been to understand the condition better or to understand the property or the problems of the property better. It would have been to just know the market better, really. That would probably be my number one learning lesson.
Know the market and, know what you're getting into, especially guys, when you're taking deals down. When you're especially
like the septic tank and stuff like that's, I would, you gotta, if you're buying a house, you gotta make sure that stuff is good too. That's probably a lesson.
So
you don't want to buy
especially.
Yeah.
So guys, right there, that was a $4,000 lesson you guys just learned for free. So learn from Devon right there. Don't do your due diligence, especially when you're taking down properties. We're coming to you right now from what is it?
I'm a big believer. Let me throw this in there of what Grant Cardone says too. So if you walk a property and it feels good, and you like the deal, you like the numbers, you like the area, it feels great. That's probably a good deal. But if you're walking a deal and you have to make sense of the deal and you're squeezing the numbers and it doesn't feel right and you're nervous, that might be a sign that something's up. And sometimes you got to go with your gut on that, and maybe you could try to assign it, but maybe not take it down and maybe not close on it if it's something that's weary and you're just not getting a good vibe from the property.
Absolutely. No, totally, man. That's killer advice. So guys, know what you're getting into when you're taking property down, and especially if you're getting deals that are as I call hairy. You got to make sure you have your contingencies in there. You got to have the inspection clause in there. You got to do your due diligence, because last thing you want to do is take down a turkey and get caught with your pants down. So guys, do your homework when you're doing your deals. So we're going to pivot into the last part of the show here. Want Devon to kind of speak a little bit more about his philosophy on life. Obviously, he's not a philosopher or anything, but he likes to travel, and he's pretty damn good at it. So Devon, can you just kind of tell everyone kind of your lifestyle, your traveling, just some places you've been and some lessons?
I try to live my life for, maximum enjoyment. And, I like what Jesse Itzler says about the life resume. I'm always trying to add things to my resume of life. So, just doing interesting things and being different than everyone else and creating memories and abundance in life. That's what I'm about. I think at the end of life, we're going to all, we're just going to have our memories to look back at. And being a nice, genuine person and doing things that you enjoyed throughout your life, and not going with society's advice, living your dream, not your parents' dream or society's dream. Just really understanding what you want in life, testing things. You're not going to know all the answers right away. I don't know all the answers. I'm learning every day, but I think that's part of the process, and that's part of life. And just learning every day, trying new things, getting out of your comfort zone. I like to travel. I like to see things. I like to meet new people. I like to hear from everyone I meet. I feel like I could learn something. And, traveling gives me the opportunity to talk to tons of people, get different perspectives from life. And it really helps me to, build my life the way I want to build it. And I think that's what life is about. It's creating something that you're happy with. And it's like, you're building, it's like you're playing World of Warcraft or whatever, where you're building things, but it's in your own life. It's real. This is the game. Life's just a game, and we're all playing it together.
Absolutely.
And I don't know if the game was World of Warcraft, the one where you build things. Minecraft, I don't know what it is. I don't play video games.
Yeah, whatever. You guys can put
Sims, who knows? Who knows?
I
don't know.
Figure it out. Well, shows how much games Devon and I play. Anyhow, we're too busy out there trying to do deals and have fun. So anyhow, I really like that, man. I subscribe to that philosophy 100%. If you guys are not aware of the book Unscripted by MJ DeMarco, I highly recommend you check it out if you guys are trying to maybe get out of the 9-to-5 or you're not happy with your job or whatever. Obviously, don't know if that's the case or not, but if you're just a little, I guess, frustrated or you want to make some changes, I would just advise you to probably start reading a lot. Devon and I are both big readers. We've been doing it since we were younger, and it's definitely helped us out a lot. So, Devon, where are some cool places you've traveled to over the last, I would say, year that you've gotten some value from?
Well, I just got back from Europe. I was in Switzerland, France, Italy, Germany. Before that, last year, I took a month trip to Colorado and was snowboarding for a month. Been to Nicaragua, backpacking, Israel, went up to the Canadian wilderness, Canadian Rockies. That was cool.
It's a good trip for you.
Mexico's a good time.
I heard Bath was a good time for you for some reason.
Banff was a good time. Yeah, we
All right.
we had a lot of fun. I like the mountains, so
Yeah.
anytime I'm out in the wilderness, I enjoy myself.
Absolutely, dude. Absolutely. Well, I love it, man. So, guys, if you're out there and you like traveling, man, take Devon's advice. Go out there. Don't, live to your own rules. Don't try to live someone else's dream. And obviously, it's not going to be easy. Devon and I are not business gurus or anything like that. We're making mistakes every day. We don't know a lot. There's always stuff we can learn. There's people we can learn from any day. But go out there and do what you want to do. Do what you love. Because at the end of the day, I'll be honest with you guys, I really do love buying properties and getting more into rentals and stuff. And I'm pretty sure Devon's the same way. He loves doing real estate deals too. It's fun. We're passionate about it. But at the same time, there's also more things in life to just making money and doing deals. So guys, go out there and
you gotta live your truth. And you can, I watch a lot of, motivational guys online, like let's say Grant Cardone or Gary Vee, but I'm able to take what they say and I don't have to hustle 24/7 like Gary Vee. I can do my work when I want to, and I can do it from anywhere in the world. And, that's what life's about. And that's why we all get into business. It's to create our own schedules and have the freedom to do the things that we really want to do. And I really enjoy doing deals too. And I think it is what I want to do for the rest of my life in terms of business and stuff. But life is about all areas: health, wealth, love, happiness, passions, all that stuff. And I think we can grow in all areas of our life. And that's what I try to do. I try to put just as much emphasis on my health and my traveling and, creating amazing memories and adventuring and pursuing all these types of things. And I feel like we can grow in all areas of our life by doing that.
Absolutely, man. Love it. You nailed it right on the head there. So let's close this thing up here, Devon. So would you have any closing words for everyone, listening? Maybe they really vibe with you on this interview. They really like what you had to say. If you had to give them a little bit more advice before we wrap this thing up, what would you say to all the listeners out there?
I would say maybe if you're just starting out, try to, you're going to have a lot of, if you're not into business right now, but you're trying to get into business, you're going to have a lot of haters. A lot of people that are telling you you can't do this, or, that's stupid, or trying to mock you and make fun of you. And the biggest thing is to just realize that those people are talking about themselves. They're not really talking about you. So if you say, oh, I'm going to go, flip houses, they're saying, oh, well, that's hard. It's hard for them because they've never done it and they don't have the mindset that you have. So they can't even wrap their head around going out and doing something different because they're so comfortable and doing what they do. So it's understanding that those people are really just talking about themselves, saying that it's hard for them or they can't do it. They're not talking about you. They're trying to pull you down and keep you comfortable at their level. You have to go past that and use that as fuel to say, I know I don't want to be talking like that. I don't want to be talking down to other people trying to keep them comfortable and keeping myself comfortable. I want to push myself past that, get uncomfortable, and live an abundant life and pursue my passions, pursue my life with adventure.
Love it, man. That's fantastic advice. And then Devon, when we got started, did people think we were a little crazy when we were 20 years old? How was that experience?
People thought we were crazy. And I can remember exact times where people would tell me like, oh, what are you, crazy? I've told people I wanted to retire when I'm not retired, but have the ability to be fully financially free and retire if I chose by 30. And I can remember clearly people like just thinking that's crazy and, making fun of me, literally laughing in my face.
Yeah.
And I just use that as fuel. And I use that to better understand that that's not where I want to be. I want to be helping other people reach their goals and telling them that they can. And that's what I'm about.
Absolutely, brother. Love it, man. Guys, especially if you're younger, listen to this. If you follow me, if you follow Devon, we're two younger guys. And, a lot of your friends are going to tell you you're crazy. They're going to tell you you can't do it. And at the end of the day, you guys got to make a tough decision. I mean, it's funny. I remember before we wrap this up, I want to tell you guys a quick little story, especially if you guys are younger listening. I remember when Devon and I first got started, we were both very young. We were both in college, 20 years old. And people thought we were just batshit crazy. They were like, you guys are nuts. And, you know, Greg, you're an idiot. You can't flip houses. Devon, you're too lazy, blah, blah, blah. And we just got so much pushback. And it was just a lot of resistance. And we were and we almost kind of felt rebellious. Like we were kind of like, we had this F the world mentality. And we kind of thought everyone was stupid for not doing what we were doing. So we were kind of being almost just as closed-minded as them. And, you know, as we started to persist and learn our lessons and take our battle scars, it's funny what happens because, you know, when you show people that you're persistent and you care about your goals and you obviously you stick with stuff long enough, you know, those people almost start to gravitate towards you again. They're like, oh, hey, man, how you been? How's everything? You know, and then they kind of like, it's amazing what happens when people come back to you after they see you have a little bit of success. So, you know, in the beginning, you guys are going to have that pushback and you got to just grind through it because that's what's going to separate you guys from other people. So don't let other people drag you down. I'm sure you've heard that advice before, but it's always good to hear it again. So Devon, if people wanted to get a hold of you for some reason, what would be the top 2 ways where they can get in touch with you to ask you more questions?
You can find me on Instagram. So Devon King 10, DEVONKING 10. Or you could email me at kingcapital2017@gmail.com. Or you can follow me on Facebook too, Devon King.
Awesome, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed our interview today with Devon. Devon, you are a hell of a dude, and I'm looking forward to buying some more deals. We're going to have to work on that Taft deal right now with the assignment. So, guys, hope you guys enjoyed the interview today with Devon. And, guys, keep listening. Keep staying in tune. I'm going to keep bringing you guys good guests. And I hope you guys have a fantastic day. We'll see you soon. Bye.